it's the way it is. That's the way it is. They want to go to press with it or something like that. They want to use it for some reason. Okay, I don't have to work for 3 days. Pay me. But a lot of the people I've worked with in the past, more often than not, it's they'll go with my test advice on something like that. They'll let me have the extra time. I don't do it very often, or I hadn't done it very often. More often than not, I'll just do whatever I can with the time I've got to do it. So to that end, I'm going to give you a project that I can't suggest. This is the first week of school. I wouldn't wait till next week to start school. I would get right on things as quickly as you can, so that you can do everything you can with what time you've got to work in. After the grading information, let me see if there's anything else, something sticking out here. Conferences, I'm hoping that, as I said, I'm not going to be your best friend here, but I'm hoping that I'm not going to be the evil enemy either. I'm hoping that I give you a justifiable amount of time. One thing that I can advise you on is tomorrow night I've got the drawing workshop. Many of you know about that already. The more drawing you get in, the better off you are. If you want any extra help, that's another place you can come by and say, Kevin, let's sit down for a while. I can, if something's specific, I can give you some one-on-one information and time. It says contact me via email request. That's a good idea, but still, you got a problem, talk to me. Ask me a question. I'm hoping, as I said, I'm not going to be someone that's going to chase you away and make you feel, like you can't talk to me or something like that. Academic honesty, it's mentioned here, and that's about plagiarism, which usually there's no reason for that in this class. We're not writing papers and everything else like that. So, to a certain extent, the disability statement. Once again, if you have some kind of disability that gives you some problems and grief or whatever. If you'll go down and see the people in student services, they'll write me a note, and then, I'll lose it. I'm not going to lose it, but it's just that, we're just drawing stuff. There's usually, it's not a dyslexia problem, although I did have a student that I did diagnose with a severe dyslexia problem. She was an interior design student. She was in my perspective drawing class, and she just couldn't make two lines come together. And it's not that she couldn't do it, she just couldn't see it. It was a real visual interpretation problem. She would think one thing and it was coming out something else. And we realized that there's no way that this person's going to make it through interior design. And it was like she would knock herself out. She was willing to give that 275% effort, which nobody can do. But I'd come in, it was a morning class. I'd come in at 7:30 or 6 in the morning. She'd be there at 6:30 in the morning working in class. Class ended, there was another class coming in. I'm sorry, you have to get up and leave now. She wouldn't, it wasn't because she wasn't trying, she just couldn't do it. And eventually we did get her some help, and she did drop the program eventually, which I was impressed the school was so kind about. They virtually gave her money back because she should never have been enrolled, because you just have to understand things visually. I had another student sometime back that was legally blind. He had the same problem. He just couldn't see what was on the page in front of him. How he thought he was going to be in the graphics industry. I don't know. Although that's something that I have a very good friend, I think I've mentioned in other classes, who's colorblind, who's a great artist. And he functions just fine. He can't see the color blue. And he uses blue in his work all the time. He just understands the value system. He really doesn't know what the color is because he's never seen it. But it still worked for him, So there are ways to get around disabilities. The last page, not the last page, but the one previous is the basic overview, the course schedule, which is really pretty straightforward. I'll give you a little bit of information on it. Day 1, Day 2, Day 3. Next week I'll do some inking techniques. I'll show you some things. I've got stuff to show you today, and something to kind of look at or look into. But I will get you enough information, I'm hoping, as the quarter progresses so you can be successful. And it takes it right through to week 11. We don't have any holidays in the way. A lot of times, a lot of classes. I teach Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so almost always there's holidays on Mondays. So I'm always here. I never get a holiday from school. But, that doesn't got it too good of a deal with myself. I hear Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It means I get 5 days off, whereas other people, it beats working for a living again. I'm presently myself as an artist. I've got a show I'm working on right now. So when I'm not here, I'm trying my best to knock out some more work for a project. This happens in July, so I have plenty of time. But as I mentioned, deadlines are another matter entirely. And I got like 15, 16 pieces to do between now and July. That's a lot of work, especially in the methods and the ways I do whatever it is that I do. I have a description here of the first assignment, and from the actions given by the writer or the story, which I'm going to give you, students are to use given information to bring a visual and verbal conclusion to the storyboard. In class, students are to begin creating a rough production storyboard with all the essential information to visually and verbally interpret the story. My suggestion, and I'll probably have to print something out. I don't think I've got it. Is to make up some small panels, although you can even sketch them out yourself. I like to work in a small scale just to get the basic ideas out there and as quick a time as possible. And then I take that and then reinterpret them on a larger scale, which I'll show you some information about in a little bit. The problem description, that's the third paragraph down, is the script provided is from a working animation or television or film project. You are to create a production storyboard that illustrates both visually and verbally the characters, environment, dialogue, and sound or special effects necessary to produce the sequences of the provided script. Once again, if a gun goes off, it'll go boom, or whatever noise guns make. I don't live in the right neighborhoods. You probably know better. Although, come to even know, I do live in the right neighborhoods. I'm in the country, and people are always hunting. Somebody has a cannon next door, I think. It's the noise, it's deafening. It's from where it's, who knows what he's shooting. I don't want to be anywhere near the down range of it. So by next week, I'm going to ask you to do some roughs for the entire problem. And then the week after that, you're going to then actually do the final presentation. It's a quick 2-week turnaround. I'll grade the roughs on the spot with you, and then the big one I get to take home, percolate, think about, whatever. So it's kind of a rough grade to begin with next week, and then I'll give you hints and ideas and stuff like that to work on. And that's it. That's it for this stuff. Here, let me pull this up. What time are we at now? 2:05. 2:05, good time. Good time to stop for a few minutes. I've given you the syllabus. Walter, take that. This is the signature sheet that just says that I gave you the syllabus, so we talked about it verbally, and a phone number that I can leave. By the way, most of you, well, I don't even have it on this. There's supposed to be phone numbers for me. For anyone that didn't show up, don't say isn't here. Okay. Whose phone number I might have from last quarter, but still. And Justin is not here. Is that normal for Justin? I know in some classes y'all think that, first class no one does anything. This quarter, or my classes, that doesn't tend to be true. Although you're in life drawing tomorrow. And I even told you to bring ink and some other things. I'm going to throw a whammy at that already. I'm going to spend the entire class, A, discussing our first major project, and then B, I have a very good friend. I've got a lot of friends in many industries, and I call these people up because I realize if I get him to talk, there's two things. A, I don't have to talk as much, and B, they're pretty insightful and have probably more to say and better, cooler things to show than I have. And so I have a friend coming in to visit the class tomorrow that's going to take up a lot of time. And so as a result, I decided we won't get a model, we won't do any drawing, but I'll be able to hopefully get you better started on the first assignment, which is abnormal for me. Normally, as first class, we hit the ground running. Which, as I said, I'm going to give you some information on doing roughs, and I'm expecting you to actually start here in class as we progress in a little while.